Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Harbin again. This one is a bit of stream of consciousness. I thought about this last night when I was doing something that many of you would advise me not to do, and I probably would advise myself not to do it as well. I got into a Facebook discussion, and while my intent was to be helpful and philosophical, I realized that it could come across as something other than that. But I still think the point is pretty good, especially from the perspective of leadership. So, I do an awful lot of leadership training. I run a leadership program in Ohio. I've taught leadership classes at university and other locations. And one of the things that we always struggle with is motivation. How do you get people to do things and perform at a level that they're capable of, that provides them success and provides them motivation and provides them that self-satisfaction? If we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how do we get them to those higher level needs? And there's a phrase that we use a lot as educators, as friends, as bosses, and I think it's a lot more damaging than people realize. And that phrase is this: you can do anything you put your mind to. And most of the time, I would say even all the time, when this phrase is used, it's well-meaning. Because we are trying to actually motivate the person and recognize that the person has had some sort of success and has some value and has some drive and has some energy. But my fear is that, and my observation is that, this sets people up for failure. Because the reality of it is, you could do anything you put your mind to. No, you can't. No, you can't. And people who are truly happy, people who are truly successful, understand themselves. I just had a discussion with my senior business majors this week, actually last week, on the notion of core competencies with regard to businesses, analyzing a business. What's a business's core competency? And I made the point to my students, we as people need to understand what our core competencies are. And businesses understand what they're not good at. And if it's something they need to be good at, they drive to try to fill those gaps by hiring new people, by getting new equipment. But people, I don't think that we often recognize what our core competencies are, what we're naturally good at. I think we do, but the whole notion of you could do anything you put your mind to sets people up for thinking that they shouldn't be without struggle, that they shouldn't think about what they're actually good at. I have a friend of mine who found themselves in a position to be running a business, and it is not in their skill set. This friend is just extremely strong in her world, capable, confident, in charge, in control, but outside that world, not so much. And this happens with a lot of people. So if you're a boss, instead of saying to your people, hey, I believe in you, you could do anything you put your mind to, you could say, I believe in you. But instead of saying, you could do anything you put your mind to, you should say something like, you can be successful. We need to help you find out where you are going to be successful. Where do you have the natural tools, the natural talent, the natural proclivity for that success? People who are successful understand where they're good at. They also understand where their weaknesses are. And they focus on the good things. They focus on their strengths. And they try to dilute the weaknesses. They try to avoid those weaknesses. Sun Tzu, in his book, Art of War, talks about this. It's a 500-year-old book. Now, it's intended for military strategy. Sun Tzu was known as probably the father of military strategy. And one of the things he talked about was know your strengths. Know your enemy's strengths. You don't attack strength. So you don't say, hey, look, if I am if my enemy has this big wall right in front of me, I'm not going to go right into that wall. I'm going to try to find a way around, try to find other ways. People have to think the same way. So my recommendation is, instead of saying you can do anything you put your mind to, encourage people and help them find where they're good at. Educators, we need to do this. We really do a very poor job of this, I'm afraid. I'm an advisor to many students, and I have students come to me and say, well, this is my degree I want to do, and I've gotten in a habit of asking them why. And they look at me like, how dare I ask why? Well, I need to know why, because it might be not the right degree. I had a student in me here today. He says, well, I'm majoring in international business and finance, but I'm really not passionate about finance. He said, so why are you doing it? Well, I think the jobs are there. Yep, but if you don't like it, then you're going to be dooming yourself to a life of misery. So I've probably made this point 16 times, even in this video, so I apologize. We do want to motivate, we do want to encourage, we do want to be that friend, that boss, that educator that says you can do it. But we're better if we say, let's figure out what you're good at and let's help you develop that. Just something to think about. Have a good rest of your day.